Good morning, all. Is the audio video clear, people? सुनाई दे रहा भाई, दिखाई दे रहा ठीक से? Is the audio video clear? Confirm. Confirm करो जल्दी. Make that quick. क्या रे, सुबह सुबह जागो ग्राहक जागो, उठो जल्दी. You people must be booming with energy. हाँ, क्या सोते रहते हो? तो अक्कल सकल निद्दो वांगो नहीं. विंटर है, पता है, घोड़े गाड़ी सोया वन लाख आई अंडरस्टैंड, बट भाई पढ़ाई भी जरूरी है. Continuing from where we left, हमने already नॉन कॉर्डेट्स खत्म कर दिया था. ठीक है, we will be moving at the chordata, phylum chordata, and it has some important classes like the amphibians, reptilia, pisces, aves and mammals. ठीक है, yes. अरे क्या हुआ? Is the audio video clear? कंफर्म करो जल्दी भाई. व्हाट कॉलर है सब? जल्दी आसो, कम क्विक. Okay, fine. Chalo, join as soon as possible. Without further delay, let's begin then. ठीक है? Okay. Now, when we characterize or classify the organisms as non-chordates or chordates, it is based upon certain characteristics or features. Based upon certain characteristics or features. Now, these characteristics or features can be either embryonic in nature, माने embryonic stages से थिला, or it is present even in adults. So on the basis of both. But these features are common to all these organisms. Either in the embryonic developmental stages, जितना embryo development होती वो, किंबा adult stage रे मध्य. Okay, fine. Now see here. Phylum Chordata, as the name suggests, implies those animals that have a notochord. Those animals that have a notochord. Now, as you can see in this figure, this structure here represents the notochord. The structure here represents the notochord. So, this is the primary structure because of which we classify chordata and non-chordata. Okay? So, those who have a notochord, they are chordates. Those who don't have a notochord, they are non-chordates. Clear? Now, besides these, there are certain other things also which are present and their location is specific. For instance, in case of non-chordates, the nerve cord is ventral. But in case of chordates, the non-chordate, the notochord and the nerve cord are dorsal. So, these we'll have to mark and understand as well as remember. Okay. Now, first characteristic here is notochord. As you can see, this one. This is the notochord here. Or in this figure, as you have in your NCERT textbook, this is the notochord. the first thing that represents a chordate is this notochord. Okay. Secondly, dorsal tubular nerve cord. Dorsal tubular nerve cord. Now, this is the nerve cord that we are talking of. Okay, fine. Where is it present? In the dorsal part of the body. Then, pharyngeal gill slits. These are the pharyngeal gill slits. So, 1, 2, 3. Or here, same way, 1, 2, 3. Now, these three things must be an integral component of every chordate. মানে প্রত্যেক chordate এই তিনটি জিনিস ম্যান্ডেটরি থিবা দরকার either during the embryonic development বা fetal stage or in adult stage. থিলে হি ତାକୁ ଆମେ classify କରିବା into a chordate. ବୁଝିହେଲା? Okay. In the previous class, we had also studied about hemichordates. Now, hemichordata is not under chordate. The characteristics are similar to that of chordates in some aspects, yes, but they are kind of connecting links between the non-chordate and chordates. So, non-chordates is the evolution hella into chordata. So, mochira jo transition phase ki asila. Say transition jo organisms gudi ko achandi. They are referred to as hemichordates. Bujhela. So, hemichordates are completely a separate category. Fine. Jehetu, they are more close towards the non-chordates. Non-chordate category of okay. Now, this is a completely separate thing. They are more advanced and they have a proper body organization, symmetry, and all these features. Okay, see here. So, as we have known, the notochord is the most important feature on the basis of which we consider them as chordates. Okay, see. Now, notochord is a flexible rod located in the mid-dorsal line between alimentary canal and nerve cord. As you can see, this is the alimentary canal or the gastrointestinal tract. ठीक है? Mouth region है गला, anus region है गला. This is the dorsal tubular hollow nerve cord. এই দুইটি এক মঝিরে কোন রইলা এই নোটোকর্ডটি রইলা. Okay, so notochord basically is a muscular, ठीक है, is a muscular nerve rod like structure which is present between the alimentary canal and the nerve cord. Clear? Fine. Okay. Now, these are certain differences, very important. These are certain differences, very important. Okay. Avinash, good morning. Vijay Kumar, good morning. Welcome to the session. Now, I hope others would join soon. Okay. But it's already time, so I cannot wait for them. Fine. So let us proceed and the others will join in between. Fine. Okay. Now, as I said, this is a very, very important part of this particular session. Why? Because consecutively for the last 3 years, we have been getting questions on this differences. A differences over questions continuously pochana jauchi. Some way or the other. Like, for example, which of these characteristics does not represent a chordate? Which of these characteristics are different to chordates? Or which of these characteristics are similar to non-chordates? So unless and until you understand the difference between the chordates and non-chordates, okay, you will not be able to answer this questions properly. Siti bhai, gotiye table re, I have put these differences, mark them out. Fine. Just a sec. Now, in case of chordates, the notochord is found in embryonic stages, whereas in non-chordates it is absent. Now, in this particular line, I would like to add, in case of chordates, notochord is found in embryonic stage. Fine, okay. Whereas non-chordates is absent. Clear? This is very important. Then the CNS is dorsal, hollow, and single. Dorsal, hollow, and single. Whereas in this scenario, it is ventral, solid, and double. Dorsal, hollow, single, ventral, solid, and double. Important. କେମିତି ଏଇଟା ମାର୍କ କର ବୁଝିପାରିବ ସେ ଫର ଏକ୍ସାମ୍ପଲ ଆମେ ଗୋଟେ ପ୍ଲାନେରିଆର ଷ୍ଟ୍ରକ୍ଚର ଯଦି ନବା ଏଇଠି ଦେଖ in these two regions nerve ganglion are there empty dorsally empty longitudinal theta nerve cord baharla ଏଇପଟେ empty neural branches baharle and these are connected like this. So this is ventral in location, longitudinal, then paired, fine, and solid. Ventral in location, longitudinal achandi, paired achandi, and solid achandi. Okay? And this neural ganglia here, the neural ganglia here represents the brain, primitive brain. Okay. Whereas anko case, in case of chordates, as you can see, a properly developed singular dorsal hollow nerve cord is present. And the anterior section represents the brain. Matlab, the brain is represented here. Clear hai? Is this clear, people? This is a very, very important differentiation. Please mark it, understand it properly. Then, pharyngeal gill slits are present. In case of the chordates, you'll have these structures here. These structures here, which represent the pharyngeal gill slits. Okay. Now, although pharyngeal gill slits are observed in the embryonic stages mostly, but they may later form gills, as in case of the class Pisces, the class Amphibia. So in them you may have gills even in the adult stages. Then another very important difference. Fine. ये वाली क्वेश्चन आपको 2023 में आई थी एग्जाम. NEET रे, this question was asked in 2023. It said, which of the following statements is incorrect? ठीक है. So there in chordata it was mentioned as a dorsal heart. Now remember, in case of all chordates, the heart is ventrally located. माने पेटा बोटा अच्छी, पिठी बोटा dorsal, छाती बोटा और पेटा बोटा ventral. So our heart is located on the ventral side in case of chordates. Whereas in case of the non-chordates, it is dorsal in nature. देखो, dorsal heart. Whereas in case of us, it is ventral heart. So since this question was asked, remember this. Okay. Then post-anal part or tail is present either in the embryonic stages or in the adult stages, persistent throughout life. Kichi organisms manakara post-anal tail is present in the embryonic stages. In certain cases, it may be present even in adult stages and continue throughout life. Let's say, for instance, tadpoles. Tadpoles are the larval forms of frogs. Yes. So they have a post-anal tail. But when it metamorphosizes, border hit hai, adult को convert hit hai, then it loses its tail and becomes a frog. So frog does not have a tail. Now, question is sometimes we ask, are we chordates? Yes, answer is we are chordates. Then do we have a post-anal tail? Do we have a post-anal tail? Answer is yes. Although the anal tail, post-anal tail in case of human beings is vestigial in nature, non-functional nature. Why? Because in the course of evolution, a tail T reduced heiki is present only in the form of the coccygeal region of the vertebral column. ତମେ ଯଦି ଆମର vertebral column ଦେଖିବ तो cervical section ଅଛି, thoracic section ଅଛି, lumbar section ଅଛି, sacral section ଅଛି, coccygeal section ଅଛି. This coccygeal section forms the tail. So the tail is literally present but in a bent form and is non-functional and does not protrude out. Other forms of primates like in certain monkeys etc. post-anal tail ଅଛି and is clearly visible also outside the body. But in case of human beings, it is not present. Even in case of chimpanzees, gorillas, orangutans, emanagor madhya, post-anal tail is vestigial in nature. But they do have a post-anal tail. Okay? How? In case of non-chordates, the tail is absent. Okay? Okay. I hope you have understood this. अरे समस्तों को बुझा पड़ला. Is everyone clear with it? Yes. ठीक. Now, in case of phylum Chordata, as you can see, there are three subdivisions. The phylum Chordata has three subdivisions or subphylum. ठीक है. What are these? Let's see. पहला Urochordata or Tunicata. The first is Urochordata or Tunicata. As you can see, they are very different to that of the chordates, as you can imagine. Say this is also a chordate, this is also a chordate, but there is plenty of difference in the shape or form of the chordates. So, हमें the chordate data सुनता हो, we imagine a certain organism or compare. So these tunicata or the urochordates are basically very different to that of the other chordates. Clear? Okay. Now, kahingi different, when we'll go into them, you'll see. Second is cephalochordates, the subphylum cephalochordates. And the third and the most advanced is the vertebrata. ठीक है? So urochordata, cephalochordata, and vertebrata. Urochordata, cephalochordata, vertebrata. These are the three subphyla present in the phylum Chordata. ठीक है? Now, the first subphylum, that is Urochordates. As you can see, these are referred to as tunicates or tunicata. Why? Because their entire body is covered by a tunic. ଦେଖିପାରୁଥିବ ଏଠି total body ବାହାରେ ଗୋଟେ covering ଅଛି there is a covering outside their body which we call tunic. There is a covering outside their body that you term tunic. ठीक है, ये जो आपको दिख रही है this covering here, empty this one here, ठीक है, इसे आप ट्यूनिक कहते हैं. जेहेतु ट्यूनिक टिप अच्छी, therefore they are named tunicata. Okay, fine. See, notochord present only in the larval tail. आंकर जो लार्वा टीथ है only larval form में, and that too only in the tail section you'll observe a notochord. Rest of the body रे notochord not थाए. Remember this. ठीक है, these certain differences are very very crucial. ठीक है. Now Urochordates रे you have a post anal tail also present, but notochord is present in the larval tail only. Remember this. Important. Why? That is a very important feature that will discriminate the Urochordates from Cephalochordates. We'll see that. Body is covered by test. Test माने कौन की रहे? Test means a cover, an envelope kind of cover. ठीक है? And it is made up of a substance called tunicin. It is basically a polysaccharide and a protein composition. ठीक है? So a polysaccharide and protein composition. ठीक है? They are exclusively marine. Only found in the marine. ठीक है? They are hermaphrodites, means bisexual. Now, I am only primarily focusing upon your NCERT text because that is where from we will get your questions. So, तम्मानों को आगुरु भी instructions देती. Whenever you come to the class, you join the class, please have your NCERT textbook and a notebook along with at least 2 different colored pens with you, so that you can write what is important in it as well as mark it in your textbook. Plus, when you'll have your textbook beside you, then you can easily go through it. Wherever you have a doubt, you can ask it also. That will be helpful. Bujhela? Okay. Now, hermaphrodite or bisexual, also we can call them monoecious. Monoecious. Remember these terms: monoecious, bisexual or hermaphrodite. Ekka jinso. ठीक है? Now, इनकी examples में, as you can see, this is acid, this is salpa. ठीक है? Fine. That is doliolum. Fine. This particular structure represents acidia. ये यहाँ पे गलती से salpa हो गया. It is acidia. ठीक है? Now, acidia can be this form also. Can be this form also. ठीक है? जेमती तमे पॉरीफेरा रे पॉलिप देखतिलो. पॉरीफेरा रे पॉलिप देखतिलो. तो पॉलिप के जैसा ही दिखता है. ठीक है? But as you can see the figure, they appear completely transparent like jellyfish. ठीक है? But the jellyfish is a non-chordate and these are chordates, but very primitive form of chordates. Okay. Then come to the subphylum Cephalochordata. or lancelets. Now, as you can see here, you'll observe them like, no, they'll appear like fish. Kemti ka fish. I suppose you would have seen, no, आपने वो तोड़ी देखी थी वो कि मैं बॉम्बे देखी थी वो, those kind of fish. ठीक है, मतलब their head will be pointed. इसीलिए इसका इनका नाम जो है lancelets दिया गया. They are referred to as lancelets. Lancelets माने कौन हो? Lancelet is a sharp knife-like weapon. Lancelet is a sharp knife-like weapon. ठीक है, मोस्टली इस प्रकार का होता है एमजी. तो या एक साइड ऑफ द बेंटो थी वो, and one side is pointed, so therefore we refer to it as or name it as lancelets. ठीक है, okay. Now see this. याद क्या रखना, in case of urochordates they are also referred to as tunicates. In case of cephalochordates also they are referred to as lancelets. Urochordates, tunicates, cephalochordates, lancelets. Remember, okay. Now, notochord from head to tail region. Now, this is the difference I was asking you to remember. In case of urochordata, notochord is present in the embryonic tail only. That means केवल tail region में मिलेगा, plus only embryonic stage रही मिलेगा. It does not persist after that. But in case of cephalochordates, you'll find that they have a tail which is present in their body throughout their life and in the entire length of the body. Dekho, from the head to the tail, total covering, total covered. Head region to tail region portion, entirely it is present. Whereas in case of urochordates, it was only present in the tail section, that also in the embryonic stage, not in adults. But here it will be present throughout the life and in the entire length of the body. Okay? So this difference is a very, very difference separating the urochordates from cephalochordates. Okay? Head to tail region, persistent throughout life. Fish-like body hai, as I've already mentioned. The body is similar to that of fishes. ठीक है. Similarity में देखो, they are exclusively marine. No, urochordates were also exclusively marine. Cephalochordates are also exclusively marine. ठीक. They have separate sexes. In case of urochordates, we found they were bisexual. But in case of the cephalochordates, we have unisexual. Yes. Then dioecious, implying that the male and female are two separate organisms. And the male reproductive part and the female reproductive parts are present on two different organisms. Hence, they are referred to as unisexual. ठीक है? Examples इसके अगर देखोगे तो then branchiostoma, that is amphioxus or lancelet, is an important example of the cephalochordates. ठीक है? Understood? As you can see in this figure, this particular structure here is the dorsal hollow nerve cord. There is a notochord which is present throughout the body and throughout the life. Fine. Then pharyngeal gill slits are also present. Alimentary canal is complete with mouth on the anterior end and anus in the posterior end. Then they also have a tail-like structure present. ठीक है? Fine. बुझेला. Okay. Then we come across the subphylum Vertebrata. Now, 8 are Vertebrata or details report. Why? Because Vertebrata, जब आप classification करेंगे, so there you'll also look into the superclass Pisces, the amphibians, the reptilia, okay? And you will have the aves and then the mammals. So इन सबको भी देखना पड़ता है, ठीक है? So therefore, Eurochordata, Cephalochordata, only basic features but general features हमको चाहिए. Whereas in case of Vertebrata, slight details and further classification is present. ठीक है? So in the chordate category, ये Vertebrata बहुत important है and it forms the major part of the phylum Chordata. ठीक है? Oxy. Now, subphylum Vertebrata अगर आप देखोगे, so what do they possess or what are their general features? Let's see. They possess a notochord during the embryonic period. So during their embryonic development, they have notochord, they have the dorsal hollow nerve cord, plus they have pharyngeal gill slits. Hence, they are chordates. Okay. फिर as they grow up, as they become adults, या फिर post embryonic development hela pore, this particular notochord is replaced by a bony or cartilaginous, again I'm telling, bony or cartilaginous collection of bones or vertebrae. ठीक है, that forms the vertebral column. So ये जो vertebral column की form होगा, this vertebral column, ठीक है, is the characteristic because of which you call these category of organisms as vertebrata. बुझेला? देखो ये ध्यान से again. Notochord is replaced by a cartilaginous or bony vertebral column. Vertebral column का कोई बा? This is the vertebral column. एटा जो देखो चोटी, this is your vertebral column. कौन सी? ये. This is your vertebral column. This is your vertebral column. It is formed of either cartilage or bones. In the ammo case, it contains mostly the bones and in between packaging is given of cartilage. Okay? Which kind of cartilage? Which kind of cartilage in our vertebral column? Answer is fibrous cartilage. Okay? Age I say, please have your notebooks etc. ready to note it down. Okay? Those are very crucial. Why? Because although they may not be related to this particular context, but आपको locomotion movement, ठीक है, then neural pathways, that is neural coordination integration, उन chapters में you'll have the mention, ठीक है. So इसलिए अभी से just line लिख के याद रखो. How? उसके बाद like any other chordata, they will have a ventral muscular heart. जब मस्कुलर हार्ट बोलते तो क्या इसका अर्थ होता है? मायोजेनिक एंड मेड ऑफ कार्डियक मसल्स. ठीक है, द हार्ट इज वेंट्रली पोजिशन, करेक्ट. इट इज मायोजेनिक इन नेचर, मीन्स इट कैन गिव rise or produce its own stimulus for its contraction and expansion. Again, the origin of the impulse for contraction and relaxation of the heart is originating from the heart itself. Okay? So therefore, the heart is not under the direct control of any neural pathway. Okay? It does its own work on its own, autonomous है. Then kidneys for excretion and osmoregulation. So in them, in case of the vertebrates, आपको क्या मिलेंगी? किडनीज मिलेंगी. किडनीज कैसी होंगी? प्रोनेफ्रस, mane primitive as in case of fish. Then mesonephros as in case of amphibians, and metanephric in case of higher animals like reptiles, aves, and mammals. ठीक है? बुझेला? Then paired appendages or fins or limbs are present. Paired appendages fins limbs are present. Now, if you remember, in the previous class also I had to mention about that. Digital classification korusho. Tame craniata, then apoda and tetrapoda korusho. तो टेट्रापोडा का क्या अर्थ है? 4 पैरों वाले. That means they would possess a pair, 2 pairs of limbs in every vertebrata. Okay, fine. Yes, it is another aspect that in certain cases that particular limbs may be vestigial, like in case of snakes. तो snakes के बारे में पूछी थी वो. Snakes के case में limbs are absent, but actually they are not absent. There are certain findings in which primitive forms of limbs are present in case of certain animals like the boa, the python reticularis. इनमें आपको vestigial legs दिखेंगे. ठीक है? Is that clear, people? Okay. Now, is there any question till here in the general characteristics? Because after this, we'll go into the individual classes of vertebrates. So till here, does anyone have any questions or queries regarding the general features of vertebrata or general features of the chordates? Any doubts? If you have, please ask. Does anyone have any doubt? Please ask. नहीं? चलो well and good. Fine. Now, let us move into the phylum Vertebrata. Look at its classification. ठीक है? तो ये देखिए. This is the classification of the phylum, subphylum Vertebrata. This is the classification of subphylum Vertebrata. Why? Because we just read and understood that the phylum Chordata has 3 subphyla. Okay? The Urochordates, Cephalochordates, and Vertebrata. Urochordates, Cephalochordates, and Vertebrata. So Urochordates and Cephalochordates are very simple forms of chordates, and ताको population मध्य कम था and exclusively marine ही था. ठीक है? The general features are very simple. But there's a lot of diversity in the subphylum Vertebrata. तो subphylum Vertebrata को हमें details से देखता हूँ. And तारा proper form of classification मध्य करता हूँ. तो यहाँ पे classification कर रहे थोड़ा ध्यान दो. ठीक है? Fine. तो subphylum Vertebrata है वाला. In that, first thing is AGNATHAa and GNATHOSTOMATA. AGNATHAa is jawless. Those who do not have any jaws are referred to as AGNATHAa. Those who have jaws are known as GNATHOSTOMATA. ठीक है, नो जॉ अग्नाथा, जॉज प्रेजेंट ग्नाथोस्टोमाटा, ठीक है, नो जॉज अग्नाथा जॉलेस, देन बियर जॉज ग्नाथोस्टोमाटा, फाइन। अच्छा, 8 ही जॉ पुरबुरु, जॉ पुरबुरु, there is another variation, that is craniata and acraniata. Those who possess a properly formed cranium, cranium माने हमारे जो skull टी देखो चाहे head is covered by a bony covering, that is known as cranium. The entire brain is covered by a bony covering. It is known as cranium. So those who have cranium, they are known as craniata. Those who don't have a cranium, known as acraniata. बुझिएला। फिर यहां से नेक्स्ट आया आपका अग्नाथा और जॉलेस एंड ग्नाथोस्टोमाटा दैट बेयर जॉज, ठीक है, मीन्स माउथ इज नॉट हैविंग एनी जॉ, whereas here the mouth is having jaw, ठीक है, gnatho and jaw, stomata implies mouth, so mouth is formed by jaws, hence gnathostomata. Those who don't have any jaws, पूरा सर्कुलर माउथ ही थी वो, उनको बोला गया अग्नाथा और जॉलेस, बुझेला। तो अग्नाथा कैटेगरी रे यहां देखो साइक्लोस्टोमाटा है, साइक्लो माने सर्कुलर, साइक्लो इंप्लाइज सर्कुलर, सर्कुलर, ठीक है, गोल। एंड स्टोमाटा इंप्लाइज माउथ, तो एमानंकर कौन हेगला सर्कुलर माउथ हवा जोगु आंको नाटी दिया गला साइक्लोस्टोमाटा। ये किसके अंडर आते हैं? अग्नाथा के अंडर आते हैं। एज यू कैन सी द माइक्सिन और हैगफिश हियर, therefore they are examples of cyclostomata। आपको हमें डिटेल्स रे पढ़िबा when we'll go further। ये just basically तमरा मने रखिया पई गोटे tabular or pictographic representation of the classification है, where we simply display in one form of like one page the classification of the subphylum vertebrata, ठीक है। now आर basic variations नहीं कारो Agnatha. Agnatha does not have many variations, but rather the Gnathostomata, they have plenty of variation. We'll see. ध्यान दो। Here, as you can see, superclass Pisces bear fins. इनको किस में डाला? अपोडा। अपोडा मने limbs are absent. Limbs are absent. Podos माने limbs और आपके hands and legs। तो इनके केस में आपको limbs नहीं मिलते, hence they are put under apoda, that is limbless, apoda और limbless, ठीक है। similarly another categorization is tetrapoda। tetrapoda माने चारोटी limbs थी वो। Tetra implies 4, podos implies limbs, so they bear 4 limbs or two pairs of limbs। Clear? बुझेला? Okay, then ध्यान दो इधर। when it comes to superclass Pisces that have fins, इनकी आप क्लासिफिकेशन जब करते हैं तो if you remember we had discussed one thing, yes, कौन? The vertebral column is the characteristic of subphylum. The vertebral column is the basis or characteristic of the subphylum Vertebrata। तो एक ही on the basis of the type of vertebrate, vertebral column or the skeletal system, the bony or cartilaginous skeletal system, we can classify the superclass Pisces into two subcategories. What are they? One is chondrich size, that is cartilaginous. ଏଠି ଗୋଟେ ଟର୍ମ ମୁଁ ତମକୁ କହିବି ମନେ ରଖିବ, ଠିକ ଅଛି? କଣ? chondrich thighs, that is cartilaginous fish, are also known as elasmobranch, whereas ostrich thighs are bony fishes. They are also referred to as teleosts. मन रहिला? Is that clear? याद रहेगा? अरे कहाँ रे, किधर जाते बच्चा? वाड़े कोई रेस्पॉन्स नहीं. How is that helping? फटाफट रेस्पॉन्स दो. when something is asked, need to respond immediately. ठीक है? Yes. Then only you'll find that the class is basically fruitful. क्यों? अगर आप monotonous हो जाएंगे तो फिर only I'll be speaking and you'd be listening, but I do not know whether you're listening or not listening, or are you able to understand or not understand. So you need to give me a response that yes, you have understood or there's a doubt. ठीक है? ये very simple चीज है. More study, more doubt. Less study, less doubt. No study, no doubt. Fine. So अगर आपको doubts आते, that means you're listening. That means you're understanding. ठीक है? अगर कुछ भी नहीं पूछते हो, इसका क्या अर्थ है पता नहीं. भाई लॉग इन करके सोने चले गए क्या? यस? नहीं ना? ठीक है. तो फिर जाग जाओ, नींद से जाग जाओ. नो, राइज फ्रॉम योर स्लम्बर एंड come to the session. This is a very important and interesting session. ठीक है? चलो ध्यान दो. Come on, wake up. Look at it. It's already close to 8:30. 9 हो जाएगा. 9 बज गया and you're still sleeping. That means it's bad. फटाफट जागो. You people must be filled with energy. ठीक है? Rise up. Early risers will always be ahead. Remember this. वो आपने कहावत सुनी है ना? Early bird catches the prey. And that's absolutely true. Every aspect of life में early bird catches the prey is always true. चाहे आप किसी मीटिंग में जा रहे हो, चाहे आप किसी काम के लिए जा रहे हो, anywhere. Same way. Those people who have a head start will always be on, in advantage. Now look at it. So super class Pisces हो गया, that bears fin, they are put under the category Apoda. उनमें दो types होते हैं, chondrich thighs, that is having cartilaginous vertebral column or cartilaginous skeleton, and ostrich thighs, they have a bony vertebral column or a bony skeletal system. Okay. Now, chondrich thighs are also referred to as elasmobranch, and ostrich thighs are also referred to as teleos. याद रहेगा? ठीक है. उसके बाद देखिए, the superclass Tetrapoda has 4 subcategories. One, amphibians. ठीक है? Amphibians, 2 reptilia, 3 aves, and 4 mammalia. Again, amphibians, reptiles, aves, mammals. Amphibians, reptiles, aves, mammals. ठीक है? Fine. This is the serial way how we proceed. क्यों? See, animal kingdom classification is also based upon phylogenetic form of classification. इसमें what we do, we not only observe the various general features and classify them, etc. We also can observe the evolutionary relationship. This is very important, which I am saying. इसे अगर आप सुन रहे हैं, तो try and understand, try and remember, and if possible, you must write it down also. ध्यान से सुनो. This is also on the basis of evolutionary relationship. Means when you place these animal, phylum or you can say classes, okay, then you categorize them in a particular order. वो order क्या होती है? Complexity of body organization, ठीक है, वगैरह वगैरह. But one important thing is also to be followed, and that is basically the evolutionary relationship. Means in the hierarchy, which particular group is more evolved, but more complicated. ठीक है? जैसे for instance, fish were limbless. ठीक है? And mostly they were aquatic only, either marine or fresh water. उसके बाद the next group comes amphibians. They are having two separate groups, one for terrestrial, the other for aquatic. So ये थोड़े slightly more evolved हो गए because they have both aquatic as well as terrestrial in nature. Then उसके बाद reptiles आ गए जो mostly terrestrial है. Only a few varieties of them are aquatic or semi-aquatic. Then उसके बाद aves हो गए. Aves are completely aquatic, arboreal or aerial in nature in their habitats. Either soil में रहते हैं या फिर पेड़ों पे रहते हैं या फिर उड़ते रहते हैं, volatile. And then mammalia, they are the most sophisticated forms of all organisms like the lions, tigers, elephants, deer, so many are there. ठीक है? They all come under the class mammalia. Because of the presence of mammary glands. We'll go to that in details when we'll go to individual classes. ठीक है? I hope यहाँ तक सबको clear है. Everyone must have understood. Yes, as you can see the vertebrata, here clearly you can see the presence of the vertebral column in each. ठीक है? This is a vertebral column here. This is a vertebral column in fish. This is the vertebral column. This is also vertebral column. And in case of human being, ये आपकी vertebral column है. ठीक है? Okay. ठीक. Now, उस vertebrata category में in the initial हमने देखा अग्नाथा और जॉलेस. अग्नाथा और जॉलेस. ठीक है? तो ये आपकी जो कैटेगरी यहाँ पे मेंशन है, इसे आप कहते हैं जॉलेस और अग्नाथा. ठीक है? That is, they do not have jaws in their mouth region. Mouth is not controlled, or the opening and closing of mouth is not controlled by jaws. Okay? Then all the members of the Agnatha are basically ectoparasites. As you can see here, they are stuck to, this is the, ये दिख रहा आप, ये आपकी अग्नाथा है. And this is a fish. Now, the agnatha, ठीक है, they are parasitic. तो ectoparasitic अछंदी. Koti lagichanti, they are now attached to this fish, attached to the fish's body, and and they derive nutrition from them. ठीक है? क्यों ऐसा है? Because they cannot, they cannot, bite, cut, or chew their food because they lack jaws, but rather circular mouth हवा जोगु, and the development of such kind of, suctorial mechanism help them in, digging through the body tissue and absorption of the nutrients from them. ठीक है? Then elongated body without scales and paired fins. The body is elongated in structure. It does not have any paired fins present in it. As you can see here, ये आपकी fin है, and it is not paired in nature. Not paired in nature. ठीक है? 6 to 15 pairs, important again. Pairs of gill slits are present for respiration. ठीक है? 6 to 15, ये जो दिख रहा है आपको, ये these structures which you see here, देखो, eta, these structures which you see here are the pharyngeal gill slits. ठीक है? Now, sucking and circular mouth and vertical column. Cartilaginous, sucking, circular, fine. Mouth without jaws. तो इनमें jaws नहीं होते. Therefore, the mouth is circular. ठीक है? And किस type का है? Suctorial है. It attaches or embeds itself onto any host and from its body derives nutrition. ठीक है? जैसे आपने लीच देखा है. Yes, leech or Hirudinaria, they attach to the body of the cattle or humans when they enter those waters, okay, and extract nutrition from them. So they both are ectoparasitic in nature. Okay. Now, cartilaginous cranium and vertebral column. So vertebral column is also cartilaginous and the cranium is also cartilaginous. ठीक है? Circulation, important again, is closed type. Closed type. ठीक है? Marine but migrate for spawning to fresh water. After spawning, they die. The larvae, after metamorphosis, return to the oceans. इस प्रॉपर्टी को हम लोग एनाड्रोमस प्रॉपर्टी बोलते हैं. Anadromous. Anadromous property is the mechanism where they migrate from marine water to fresh water in order to lay their eggs. Marine gale koti na fresh water ko where they lay their eggs. Now these eggs hatch and undergo metamorphosis. ठीक है? Fine. Now this kind of ठीक है, mechanism is a fateful event. Why? Because those adult members that have entered into the fresh waters will not be able to adjust, okay, to other forms of environmental conditions. Therefore, what happens to our life cycle soil? Spawning hobo karo na that unke jo larval forms hote hain. But the adults would die in the process. So once they lay their eggs and the eggs are about to hatch, the adults, the parents, they basically die or undergo degeneration. Okay, fine. So after spawning, they die. The larvae after metamorphosis return to the ocean. ठीक है, तो ये क्वेश्चन बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. This has already appeared in the 2025 examination. माने A वर्षर examination में इसके related question आया था. That which of these statements is incorrect? ठीक है, तो उसमें याद रखिएगा that spawning is basically seen in case of larval forms. And what happens to the adults? They die in the process. And these young ones, after they undergo metamorphosis, transform into adults and the process goes on. ठीक है? As you can see here, in the Cyclostomata category, fine, the examples include petromycin, and myxin or hagfish. Petromycin, myxin or hagfish. This is petromycin. This is myxin or hagfish. ठीक है? Now, out of which the petromycin which you see, as well as the myxin, they are parasitic. ठीक है? And the myxin or hagfish are basically necrophagous. Necrophagous ର କଣ ଅର୍ଥ? Dead and decaying matter scavenge କରିବା. Dead and decaying matter scavenge କରିବା. That is necrophagous. ठीक है, এটা মনে রাখিব. That petromycin basically has suctorial mouth that helps it in attachment to the surface and absorb nutrition. Whereas the myxin or hagfish is not capable of doing so. So therefore myxin or hagfish are necrophagous. They eat upon the dead and decaying matter present in the nearby region. ठीक है, बुझे रे? पेट्रोमाइसिन, लैम्प्रे और myxin और hagfish. Clear? उसके बाद देखिए सुपर क्लासेस स्पाइसेस को. Super classes spices. Now, in the super class spices, we already have seen two things. कहाँ पे देखा था हमने two things? That the super class spices belongs to two subcategories. As you can see, two subcategories. One was the AGNATHAa, jawless, and the other is GNATHOSTOMATA. Now here we are looking at the GNATHOSTOMata. Means the jaws are present. GNATHOSTOMata. Okay? Now, superclass spices, that is, they bear paired fins, subdivided into two categories. One is chondrich size, the other is ostrich size. Chondrich size and ostrich size. Chondrich size are cartilaginous. Okay? Chondrich size are cartilaginous. Similarly, ostrich size are bony fishes. Kyun? Because of the same reason. The vertebral column here is cartilaginous in case of chondrich size, In case of bony fishes, it is bony. The vertebral column is bony. Now, if you remember, I had mentioned two names here: chondrichthyes or elasmobranch. This is important. याद रखिएगा. A term गुड़िक use होची परीक्षा रे. So you need to know कि चीजें है क्या. So elasmobranch and teleos. Elasmobranch is for cartilaginous, and for bony fishes it is ostrich thighs. ठीक है. Okay. Now look at it. In case of chondrichthyes, this is a tabular way of representing the differences between the chondrichthyes and the ostrich thighs. Now look at the chondrichthyes and ostrich thigh differences. In case of chondrichthyes, they are marine, streamlined body and predaceous. मतलब they are exclusively predators. ठीक है. Then their endoskeleton is cartilaginous, that is, the vertebral column is also cartilaginous. Fine. Notochord is persistent throughout life. The notochord is persistent throughout life. Okay. इसमें in case of chondrichthyes. Then they can be both marine and freshwater. Chondrichthyes by elasmobranch is mostly sea. ठीक है. And ostrich thighs, they have both bony as well as cartilaginous skeleton. Both bony and cartilaginous skeleton. ठीक है. Fine. Combination. The majority of it though is the bony endoskeleton. As you can see, ये जो दिख रहा है आपको, this basically is a shark, a cartilaginous fish, whereas this here has a bony structure. ठीक है. Then, in case of class chondrichthyes or elasmobranch, the mouth is ventral. मतलब, suppose you look at a shark. The most commonest example. क्या हुआ? Record video, go to Milibasar. I think Vijay, this question was asked to me in the previous class also. I told the same thing, that these videos, etc., are present in the portals of higher secondary education. So you can access them there in the archives. Moreover, certain forms of videos are also uploaded in the specific channels of the global media, like in case of YouTube, etc. तो आपको अपनी लॉगिन आईडी से लॉगिन करना पड़ेगा, and they can be accessed by you. ठीक है. So you can do that. How? But no matter whether the classes or videos are available or not available, that does not make any difference with respect to attending classes. So classes आप अगर attend नहीं कर रहे हो, तो videos खाली देख के अगर पढ़ेंगे, then it will not be adequate. आपका उद्देश्य यहाँ पे जानना है, सीखना है, and prepare for the NEET examination. ठीक है. Or any other national level examination like ICAR, NISER, ISER, etc. Now those people who attend classes regularly, listen attentively, and practice questions at home have better chances of qualifying compared to those who don't. तो क्लास में आना is very very essential. ठीक है, और देखो you can search by the name of DHSE. ठीक है, एक सर्च इन बाय द नेम ऑफ DHSE, तो वहां पे आपको मिल जाएगा. ठीक है, ओके. नाउ क्लास कॉन्ड्रिच साइज एंड ऑस्ट्रिच साइज. कॉन्ड्रिच साइज को देखो पहले. एज आई सेड, फॉर इंस्टेंस वी कंसिडर शार्क. और अगर आप शार्क देखोगे, एज यू कैन सी, ये बेसिकली शार्क है. नाउ दिस head and the nose region are protruding in the anterior section. तो हुआ क्या, सपोज ये सर है इसका, ऐसा हो गया. Now this is the head region, this is the mouth region. As you can clearly see, the mouth is ventral. ठीक है, इसमें इन केस ऑफ कॉन्ड्रिच और इलास्मो ब्रांच, तो वेंट्रल माउथ है, पावरफुल जॉज है, गिल स्लिट्स विदाउट ऑपरक्यूलम होते हैं. दैट मींस द गिल स्लिट्स आर एक्सपोज्ड. द गिल स्लिट्स आर एक्सपोज्ड. फाइन, because they don't have a covering around the operculum, hence they have the gills exposed to the outside. Now come to the ostrich part. इसमें terminal mouth है, means the mouth is placed in the anterior section. ध्यान दो, समझ में आएगा. Like this. So this mouth is terminal anterior. ठीक है, कॉन्ड्रिच के केस में माउथ वाज लोअर इन दी वेंट्रल साइड, whereas इनके केस में ना ये डोर्सल है ना वेंट्रल है, बीच में है. Hence ostrich bony fishes have a terminal mouth. Then 4 pairs of gills with operculum. तो इनमें आपकी बेसिकली 4 pairs of gills होती है with a covering called operculum. ठीक है, on one on each side. Then इनकी अगर आप further classify करते हैं, if you classify them further, you'll have class chondrichthyes, with certain special characteristic. Now क्या है अपने special characteristic? ध्यान दो इधर. Placoid scales. देखिए पार्थोवैटी व्यू रे, you can see it in this view. These are the placoid scales. इनको आप placoid scales बोलते हैं. ठीक है, placoid scales ये बढ़िया. And these placoid scales are embedded in the skin. ठीक है, plus आंकर जो दांत देखो जो तमें in the jaws section, these are nothing but modified placoid scales. See it. Skin with placoid scales. Teeth are modified placoid scales that are backwardly directed. Means दांतो गुड़िको जो थांती empty, भित्तोराडु को थांती empty, bending. Why? So that when they grip any particular prey or any kind of food, that will not be able to escape. That is the reason why they have sharp pointed teeth developed from modifications of the placoid scales, and they are pointed downwards but bent inwards. ठीक है. इनकी जो स्केल्स होती है इधर साइक्लॉइड होती है या टेनॉइड होती है. एज यू कैन सी these are cycloid scales, these are टेनॉइड scales. ठीक है. देन इनमें एयर ब्लैडर नहीं होती, नो एयर ब्लैडर, but they have an air bladder that helps them in maintaining buoyancy. तो इसका बड़ा प्रॉब्लम क्या है? वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, they cannot remain in a certain position long enough. That means they have to continuously move around. Swim constantly to avoid sinking. Nale budi jive. Because they don't have an air bladder. So air bladder, helps them in balancing at a certain depth. Means gote position ne ଅଧିକ ସମୟ ପାଇଁ ରହିପାରିବେ. But since they don't have this air bladder, therefore they have to continue swimming. ठीक है ना? मन रखियो ऐसे placoid scales, cycloid or tenoid scales. Placoid scales form the teeth, modified into teeth. ठीक है? Fine. And bent inwards. ठीक है? Then both class chondrichthyes and osteocytes are cold-blooded, poikilothermic. Cold-blooded or poikilothermic. ठीक है ना? They have a two-chambered heart and single circulation. ठीक है? We have already studied this in the circulation of body fluids. तो उसमें आपने देखा ऑलरेडी कि you'll have the single auricle, single ventricle, ठीक है, conus arteriosus, truncus arteriosus, etc. ठीक है? Fine. Okay. Now this is the superclass Pisces. We again have a session say after 15 minutes. So it has been a long session. एक काम करो, फटाफट जाओ, break ले लो, and once you come back from the break, we will continue again. ठीक है ना? Come back quickly within a short span. Just get refreshments and come back immediately. Fine. Okay, welcome back. Take. Now, as we had discussed, these are a set of differences between the chondrich thighs and the ostrich thighs. As you can see, fine, they have basically single circulation. Okay. And secondly, they have a two-chambered heart. The two-chambered heart and single circulation. Fine. They are poikilothermic, that is cold-blooded. Means they cannot regulate body temperature. निज body temperature से माने regulate करी पारंती नहीं. Since they are unable to regulate their body temperature, therefore they are referred to as poikilothermic. Fine. Okay. Okay. Now, this is another very important difference. Just look at it. In case of the chondrich thighs or the cartilaginous fishes, they have male and female as two different organisms. That is, they show sexual dimorphism. Sexual dimorphism. They are basically dioecious or unisexual. Jehetu male and females are separately into separate organisms, so we refer to them as dioecious or unisexual. Fine. Okay. Ostrich thighs also are of the same category. Now, the point here is that since we had seen in case of the mollusks, the echinoderms, fine, the hemichordates, fine. So from that onwards, all organisms basically emphasize or on the what we say sexual mode of reproduction. And when we look into sexual mode of reproduction, basically in animals, they have sexual dimorphism. That is, male is a separate, female is a separate. Fine. Okay. So this is common to almost all higher organisms. As you move upwards in the classification hierarchy, all higher organisms will have almost similar features in terms of reproduction. Okay? Then, important. Mark this important and remember this. Here, they ask questions on this aspect. क्या है ये देखिए? In males, the pelvic fins bear claspers. Now look at it. These are the pelvic fins, as you can see clearly. These are the pelvic fins. These are the pelvic fins. ठीक है? Eta hochi clasper. This is the clasper. Fine. Okay. Now, what is the basic purpose of the clasper? Basic purpose of the clasper is to help in copulation. Copulation implies as the male transfers the sperms into the female genital tract or reproductive tract, the claspers hold the female in the proper position such that the insemination can be carried out. This is the basic purpose of the claspers. In case of the bony fishes, normally the fertilization is normally external. Fertilization is normally external. Okay. Or in certain cases, even internal. But the difference is that in case of the chondrich thighs, you have viviparous mechanism. So fertilization has to be internal. Whereas here, here, since they are oviparous, so the fertilization can be both external and internal. But one thing do you remember, that in case of bony fishes, claspers are absent. Claspers are absent. Remember this. Okay? Clear? So, as you can see, female ovary, male testis. You know, आप जब मार्केट जाते हो इन केस ऑफ रेनी सीजन તમે માଛ ବିହନ ବା ମଞ୍ଜି ଯାହା କହୁଛ, you would observe them. ठीक है? So that can be present in both males also, females also, as you can see. ठीक है? But normally it is available where in case of females. Why? Because the fertilization, if it is internal, fertilization, if it's internal, then it has to be, the eggs have to be inside the organism. Suppose it is external, then both eggs and the sperm shall be given out and the fertilization will occur in water. ঠিক আছে? বুঝিপারলো? So, যেতেলে তুমি বিহন আনছো, it can be basically a female in normal. Fine. Okay, but remember that in case of bony fishes, the claspers are absent and the fertilization is generally external in water. Okay? Then, since these are viviparous, so development obviously has to be direct. That is, there is no larval stages available. Here also, the development is direct, where no larval form exists. Okay? Now, examples of the cartilaginous fishes or the chondrocytes is scoliodon or dogfish, carcharodon or the great white shark. Okay? Fine. The pristis or the sawfish, scoliodon by dogfish, pristis or sawfish. Okay? Trigon or stingray, containing a poisonous sting. Electric rays or torpedoes, they have electric organs. Again, out there because these are examples present in your NCERT text also. So you'll have to remember them. Specifically, these two. Why? Because of their unique features. It has poisonous sting, that is the stingray or trigon. Then it has an electric organ, it is the electric ray or the torpedo. Okay? Fine. The carcharodon is the great white shark and the scoliodon is the dogfish. Clear? Okay. Then, if you look at the bony fishes can be both freshwater and marine. Cartilaginous fishes are mostly marine, but bony fishes can be both marine as well as freshwater. Okay? So, if you look at the examples of marine bony fishes, Exocetus or the flying fish, Hippocampus or the seahorse. These are examples of marine bony fishes. In fresh water, you'll have Labiorohita, Katla, Clarius, that is Maguro. Labiorohita is Rohi. Okay? And Katla is Bhakuro. Okay, which you commonly see in markets. And Clarius is Magur. Yes. In aquarium, you have goldfish, the beta fighting fish, the anglefish. Okay? These are all basically observed in aquariums, which are, what we can say, artificial or man-made ecosystems. Okay? तो ये ही गला तुम्हारा fish. ठीक है? Observe the structure here. You can clearly see यहाँ पे एक चीज और ध्यान दो यूनिकली, दिस इज द स्विम ब्लैडर, ठीक है, जोटा तुम माछर कौच पुट्टी, फाइन। तो स्विम ब्लैडर गोटे सब्सटेंस बाहर थाए, स्विम ब्लैडर गोटे सब्सटेंस बाहर थाए, that is known as isinglass. This is a very important commercial or industrial product. Why? Because it is used for several purposes. It is used for several purposes like making of soundproof rooms, making of polishes, making of thinners. Many such kind of things are made out of isinglass. Okay, fine. Okay. अच्छा और एक चीज, 1 minute. Look at it. Since this is a bony fish, and we have discussed that they have paired fins, fine. तो देखो यहाँ पे, here you'll have the pectoral fin, यहाँ पे dorsal fin, this is the pelvic fin, anal fin, and the caudal fin. So you'll have both paired and unpaired fins present here. ठीक है? Just for your information, this diagram is present. So that you understand the physicality or the morphology and anatomy of a fish. Okay? Fine. Okay. Now, fish is done. Uske baad, superclass, one superclass was Pisces. This is this next superclass, that is Tetrapoda. Limbless phyla, inki limbs hoti hai, that's why we call them Tetrapoda. Okay. Fine. So in the superclass Tetrapoda, the first class is the amphibia. Now, why do we call this class amphibia? It's a very simple reason, as the name goes. So, naam pe hi aapki, you can find why we call them amphibia. Now, ध्यान दो, amphi implies dual. The word amphi implies dual. ठीक है? Fine. And the beings imply living or life, dual form of life. So what do we mean by this dual form of life? Either they are aquatic or they are terrestrial. Either they are aquatic or they are terrestrial. ठीक है? So since they can display two forms of lifestyle, that is both aquatic as well as terrestrial, we call them amphibians. Okay. Now, let us go into the details of it. They live in aquatic and terrestrial habitats. Fine. They're, and mostly important thing, they require water for completion of their life cycle, that is breeding or reproduction. It is ସବୁଠୁ important ତାଙ୍କର dependency on water, and the most important aspect or vital aspect for their sustenance also. Why? Because unless and until they reproduce, their population will not increase and their extinction would be clearly evident. But since they have proper availability of water and they can breed in water, therefore they also exist in large numbers. Right? But remember one thing, in today's date, because of the changing environment, again, because of the population explosion, because of the lack of several kinds of awareness among people, either knowingly or unknowingly. We have been destroying habitats of these important components of the ecosystem. And remember, amphibians are the most vulnerable of all categories of animals. କାହିଁକି ତାଙ୍କ ପାଖରେ କୌଣସି ପ୍ରକାରର escape mechanism, କୌଣସି ପ୍ରକାରର protective mechanism ବା defense mechanism ନାହିଁ. They are very, very gentle and harmless creatures. Even they do not even have speed to escape, or they do not even don't even have teeth, etc., to bite and protect themselves from the predators or any kind of other organism. So, and slight changes in the environment, etc., cause a lot of problem to them. And since water is a very, very important source of their entire existence, therefore, since water, etc., is also depleting and the water conditions are becoming dangerously, dangerously polluted. So therefore, emanakar existence is becoming a question mark. And now the amphibian population has become a very small one. Okay. Now, one of the reasons is this dependency in water also. Why? Because when we say water, it does not imply any form of water. It implies a proper form of water. Okay. Look into it. Now, the body in case of the amphibians is divisible into head and trunk. Now, so what do we make out of this? The most important aspect here that you should understand is they do not have a neck. केवल head achi, trunk achi, no neck. Therefore, they are unable to move their head in different locations. If someone approaches from the back, from behind, they will not be able to see it. Even gote jagare, when they have to escape quickly, they will not be able to escape because they cannot bend because of the lack of a neck. Hence, basically, you'll have to see it that they are vulnerable. In this way, they are vulnerable. This adds on to their vulnerability. Then some of the amphibians may have a post-anal tail, others don't. Like in case of frogs, you don't have a tail. But in case of salamander, etc., you have a tail. Okay? So moist skin without scales hote hain. They do not have scales on their body. Rather, they have a moist skin, a moist epidermis, and the skin is smooth. Why? Because that helps in interaction with the environment, and they perform a kind of respiration which we call cutaneous respiration. For that require moist skin. Okay? Therefore, their skin is moist. Right? Okay. They have two pairs of limbs as they are the superclass tetrapoda members. Okay? So two pairs of limbs honge, four, that is four limbs. Then, if you can see clearly here, ये जो अगर आपको दिख रहा है, this is an external ear or that acts like an ear. We call it tympanum. So they don't have the external ear like us, but rather a small opening in their head region in the lateral positions. There we refer to as tympanum. These are the receivers of sound, helping their hearing. Okay? Now, Pisces two-chambered heart thila. Now that changes here from 2 to 3. So basically, amphibians will have a three-chambered heart in which you'll have two auricles and one ventricle. As you can see in this figure, okay? So you'll have this is one chamber, this is another chamber, and this is the third chamber. So you'll have 1, 2, 3. Along with it, you'll have two other structures, that is conus arteriosus and sinus venosus. ठीक है. These are two additional structures present just outside the heart section, ठीक है, which helps in the distribution of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood, ठीक है, throughout the body, ठीक है. Since they have three chambered heart, therefore we can call this as incomplete double circulation. Incomplete double circulation. Why? Because, just a sec, because incomplete double circulation. Okay. Why? Because there is mixing of the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. Okay. Fine. So although the blood has to complete 2 circulations in one cycle, therefore it is double circulation into it is incomplete. Why? The oxygenated and the deoxygenated blood are not separate. Rather, the amphibians have a mixed blood. Amphibians have a mixed blood. Clear? Okay. Now, come to the next. The class amphibia, contains mostly cold-blooded organisms or cold-blooded animals. That's why they are all poikilothermic. They are poikilothermic. Cold-blooded animals cannot regulate the body temperature. Okay. Are bujela? Since they are not able to control or regulate their body temperature, they are referred to as cold-blooded animals. Fine. Now, alimentary canal, urinary and reproductive tracts open into a singular channel or singular tract that is called a cloaca. Now, cloaca is basically a singular chamber into which all these, that is the gastrointestinal tract, GIT, the urinary tract, as well as the reproductive tract join together, and they form a singular chamber here. As you can see, a singular chamber here. This is the chamber here, singular chamber, that you call cloaca. Okay. So cloaca is that structure into which the alimentary canal, the urinary tract, and the reproductive tract all come together. All come together. Therefore, it is the common structure. It is the common structure that is basically associated with the reproductive, the gastrointestinal, as well as the urinary tract. So any passage to the outside, that is the fecal matter, that in case of ejection, or the excretion, even in the reproduction, that is laying of the eggs, they are all associated with cloaca. Okay. Okay. Then respiration is by gills, lungs, skin. Now, 80, this is a very, very important context. Please mark this. Fine. Very important. Please mark it. In these organisms, in mostly amphibians, in case of the larvae, they possess gills, that is pharyngeal gills, for their gaseous exchange. As you grow up or as they transform into adults, they show, in case of adults, pulmonary, that is through lungs, cutaneous, that is through moist skin, pulmonary, lungs, cutaneous is skin, cutaneous is skin, okay? And in certain cases like frogs, you can also see bucopharyngeal, okay? So all these are various methods of exchange of gases in case of exchange of gases in case of the amphibians. Which part law? Yes. Now look at it. Frogs, there's a chapter structural organization animals. There you will study the frog as a specimen, and these all concepts. This is and here we are studying the animal kingdom. So our boundaries are confined to general characters and certain special characters. But there you will look at the frog, the various aspects related to its morphology, anatomy, physiology, in terms of reproduction, the growth and development, all those things. Fine. Okay. But these are basically general features of all amphibians. Here, where in that particular chapter we have taken a specimen, that is frog. It can be Bufo melanostrictus or Rana tigrina, to understand the frog in a better way. Okay? Okay. Then they show sexual dimorphism. Show sexual dimorphism. Okay? Fine. External fertilization hoji. Okay. External fertilization केमती होला? As you can see here, the frog lays its eggs. Okay. Simultaneously, just a second. Again. आएगी. अच्छा. Oh. हाँ कर दो. नहीं ना कर दो. Just a second, people. Fine. As you can see in this figure, this is referred to as copulation. This is copulation. Fine. Now, in this event, what happens? As I said, when you'll go into the chapter structural organization animals, there frog is itself a specimen study there. The city details report. I'm just telling you, some aspects of it. So what happens in case of the frogs? The male frogs bear a structure which we call the copulatory pads. Okay. In their forelimbs, they have a web-like structure forming a pad that we call copulatory pads. Now, like in case of the Pisces, we saw claspers. Yes. Similarly, in case of frogs, we have copulatory pads. Fine. These copulatory pads, which you'll observe, no, they normally are used to hold the female in such a position such that the release of eggs and the release of sperms would be simultaneously done. Therefore, the fertilization can take place. Understood? Fine. As you can see in this, the frogs, the female frog lays the eggs, whereas the male frog, it releases the sperms. And simultaneously, the fertilization takes place such that the fertilization results in formation of the tadpoles. Okay. Tadpoles are primarily the larval forms of frogs. Fine. And their main structure for respiration or gaseous exchange are the gills. As you can see, the external gills or pharyngeal gills in case of tadpole larvae. Okay. Okay. Fine. So, उसके बाद देखिए, sexes are separate. Sexes are separate. That is, they show sexual dimorphism. Now, this is a common feature which you'll observe in case of all higher animals. So, we don't have to even emphasize on that because you will not find them bisexual or monoecious at all. They prefer cross fertilization, that is, male and female would be separated. Okay? Their sex organs will be separate, and the fertilization is a common mechanism of reproduction here. And self-fertilization is strictly prohibited in order to carry out variations in the population so that certain forms of genetic faults or errors might be corrected. So same here happens in case of the amphibians, since they show sexual dimorphism or they are unisexual in nature. So they also prefer cross fertilization. But fertilization is external in nature. Yes, in water. This is the dependency. Why they are amphibians. So in this way only they are dependent on water. Okay. Fine. Now, the frogs are basically oviparous. That is, they lay eggs. Fine. So they are oviparous. Okay. Now, if you remember, oviparous, they lay eggs. Now, these eggs are normally centrolecital and macrolecital. That is, the yolk sac is present in the central section. So centrolecital, but the content is comparatively high with respect to the size of the egg. Sethiva macrolecital. Okay. So it is centrolecital or macrolecital. छोटा सा example, suppose you are not understanding you do not know the centrolecital or macrolecital. Let me give you an example. Say you would have seen, सबने देखा होगा, ये गारंटी है. कौन क्या देखा? Eggs, मुर्गी के अंडे. Yes, you eat or like eating eggs, right? So if you look at the egg in case of a chicken, yes, when the egg is basically ovoid in shape, an oval. There, the yolk is present in one particular end. गोटे एंड रहिला तो ताको हमें कहले टेलोलेसिकल कहीं टेलो मतलब एक एंड पे सेम थिंग आंको केस जेहेतु द यॉर्क इज प्रेजेंट इन द सेंट्रल सेक्शन इसको हम बोलते हैं सेंट्रोलेसिकल फाइन देन कम टू द क्वांटिटी और मैग्नीट्यूड नाउ in terms of size the hence egg is big and say proportion रे अधिक अमाउंट रो यॉर्क मध्य रहिला यस तो उसको हम लोग मेगालेसिकल बोलते हैं और मैक्रोलेसिकल को अंडरस्टूड now in case of frogs etc in case of amphibians etc इनकी एग्स की साइज छोटी होती है दे स्मॉल इन साइज तो why do we then call them macrolexical because inside the egg there is yolk whose proportion is comparatively almost 70 to 80% of the entire egg. So the ratio of the yolk with respect to the size of the egg is high. Therefore, we refer to it as macro or megalecythal. Okay. Then development in them is indirect. Why? Because larval stages are seen. Larval stages are seen. ठीक है जैसे यहाँ पे देख रहे हो आप tadpole it's a larva of a frog. ठीक है वैसे ही salamanders ठीक है newts they will all have their larval forms like axolotl etc. We'll come to that, we'll discuss it. But since they have larval stages, therefore we refer to their development as indirect development. Okay? Means once the eggs, fertilized eggs hatch, then they grow or they metamorphosize, and from there is development of the new ones. Okay? Fine. Okay. Now, if you look at the various examples of the members of the class Amphibia, they are basically Bufomelanostrictus, that is the toad, Rana tigrina, or the frog, the hyla or the tree frog, salamander, okay? Ichthyopus, this is a limbless amphibian. इसके पैर नहीं है, मतलब it does not have limbs. Fine. Ichthyopus is a very important potential question. It is asked severally in various examinations. So, क्या है ये? Limbless amphibian. Limbless amphibian. ठीक है? This is very important. Remember this. सांपों वाले देखिए हो, but it is not a snake, rather an amphibian, a harmless amphibian. ठीक है? It is known as ichthyopus or limbless amphibians. ठीक है? Hope. Now, look into the next particular phylum. Acha, before we approach this one, does anyone have any queries regarding the class amphibian? अगर किसी को कोई doubt है, any queries you have, ask. Yes. Does anyone have any queries here? किसी को कोई doubt है तो पूछिए. Whichever doubt you have, I can explain. Make it fast. As I've continuously been saying, these sections are not very big. Why? Because we are primarily emphasizing upon the general characteristics only, general features only, as per the NCERT guidelines. So if you have your textbook in front of you, okay, then we follow the NCERT strictly, and that's a very important thing. Now, apart from that, suppose whatever extra we add into it, that is for your NEET and preparations or any other national exam preparations. वो additional है. But whatever content is here, it's basically based on only NCERT text. ठीक है? तो इसलिए आप इसे अच्छे से पढ़िए, and wherever you have doubts, you may ask. Fine. And whatever extra is being told in the class or point discussed in the class, वो आप note कीजिएगा and try and Remember, fine. Apart from that, does anyone have any queries or doubts here? Then ask. Or else we move to the next one. ठीक है, ठीक है, no doubts, बढ़िया है. Fine. Now, when you come to the next particular superclass, next particular class in the superclass Tetrapoda, that is basically reptilia. That is basically reptilia. ठीक है. Now, reptilia is what? Basically a class. ठीक है. Reptilia is a class. Fine. The class of what? Animals. What type of animals? Mostly terrestrial animals. ठीक है. Mostly terrestrial animals. ठीक हो जी. Sorry. Now, mostly terrestrial animals. Now, these terrestrial animals are predominantly inhabiting land areas or land mass. But that does not imply that they cannot live in water. There are certain aquatic reptiles also, like water snakes, sea snakes, crocodiles, turtles. ये सब आपके aquatic है. ठीक है. But predominantly they are land animals. ठीक है. Only a few of them reside in water. Clear? और कुछ ऐसे हैं that mostly live on land, sometimes go into water in search of food, in search of mating partners, or even laying eggs, etc. ठीक है. But that is what we can say a rare scenario. ठीक है. देखो फटाफट. Now, basically class Reptilia are characterized by dry and cornified skin. Dry and cornified skin. ठीक है. Dry and cornified skin क्यों? Because their skin is suited for dry habitats. Their skin is suited for dry habitats. So, living in the dry areas, it prevents loss of water from the body. ठीक है. Hence, they can live in such kind of dry environment. Okay. Then, epidermal scales are plenty. As you can see, ये आपकी सब scales है. ये scales है. ठीक है. These scales are epidermal. Epidermal मानने को ना, they are embedded in skin. मतलब आप अगर बोलेंगे जैसे माछर काटी छोड़ो छो, आंकर काटी से हम छोड़े परिवहन. Why? Because ये skin के साथ जुड़े हुए हैं. They are epidermal in nature. So they are embedded in the skin or epidermis, hence cannot be removed or easily taken out. ठीक है. Then snakes and lizards shed their scales as skin cast. इसे क्या कहते हैं? We call it molting. या फिर ecdysis. आप लोगों ने सुना होगा, देखा भी होगा, सांप को काटती छड़िया. यस, बहुत कॉमनली देखे होंगे. तो यही जो काटती छड़िया मतलब ताकर ओल्ड एंड वॉर्न आउट स्किन को से माने नीचे बाय देमसेल्फ. ठीक है. लूजन कर देते हैं एंड दे कम आउट ऑफ इट. जैसे हम लोग अपने कपड़े बदलते हैं, वैसे ही ये क्या करते हैं, they come out from their skin so that the skin is a waste. Now, before they do that, Sankara, no, young skin must already be in the for process of formation underneath that particular outcast. Okay, that skin which is cast out, ତାତଳେ ନୂଆ skin formation of ଆରମ୍ଭ ହେଇଯାଇଥିବ. As the new one starts getting formed, the older one is slowly cast out or shedded off. Okay. Okay. Then they are also tetrapods. Kintu there are several reptiles like snakes that do not have limbs. Okay. Do not have limbs, or limbs have vanished. That means those snakes, etc., did have these limbs in the early parts of their evolutionary life. But later, those limbs have disappeared. Limbs have disappeared. The proof of them having limbs, the proof of them having limbs were or can be seen where, in case of python, or boa, anaconda. ଏଥିରେ ଦେଖିବ ତାଙ୍କର towards the terminal sections, they have a pair of, suppose you have a snake, towards the tail section, say this is the tail section, there is a pair of limbs present, okay, which are rudimentary because they are of no use. But that is an indicator that once in a lifetime they did have limbs, although now they are of no use, but previously they were present. Okay. Then the commonest mode of locomotion is crawling. Now, in case of our snakes, etc., since they don't have any limb, therefore they have to crawl. But in others, they have limbs, so they can crawl or walk on the limbs. Okay. Then tympanum, same as that you saw in case of frogs, is also present here. Tympanum, as you saw in frogs, is also present in case of reptiles. Okay, fine. Okay. Now, same as that of the amphibians, the reptiles also possess a three-chambered heart. Reptiles also contain a three-chambered heart. Fine. But in case of crocodiles, the heart is four-chambered. This is an exception. Okay. They have a three-chambered heart. That is, there are two auricles, but the ventricles are partially separated by formation of the interventricular septum. Partial formation of IVS by interventricular septum. So, duity auricles are clearly formed. Then, two ventricles are there, but those two ventricles are not clearly separated. In case of crocodiles, it is an exception where the heart is four-chambered, similar to the other birds and mammals. This exception है in case of reptiles. Fine. They are all poikilothermic, that is cold-blooded. they have well developed alimentary canal, that is complete digestive system. ठीक है, anterior mouth, posterior anus. ठीक है, then respiration is by lungs, lungs and lungs only, that is pulmonary. There is no other mechanism of respiration in case of the reptiles. It is primarily through lungs only. ठीक है, fertilization is internal, it is oviparous, development is direct. Fertilization is always internal. ठीक है, they are egg laying, oviparous. Development is direct, मतलब larval stages are lying. From here onwards, amphibians are the last category where you'll observe indirect development. Amphibians for Tharu, there is no question of any indirect development. All developments will be direct in nature. अच्छा, यहाँ पे एक चीज है, Nodamethi oviparous kohuche. So now all reptiles may not be oviparous. All reptiles may not be oviparous. क्यों? जैसे there are certain ठीक है, sea snakes for example. ठीक है, sea snakes for example. Sea snakes are viviparous. They directly give birth to their babies. Then, Bungarus. ठीक है, fine. Then you'll have the Russell's viper, Vipera russeli. They are also viviparous in terms of land snakes. ठीक है, so all reptiles may not be completely oviparous. Some of them are also viviparous. ठीक है. Now, reptiles are, many reptiles are very poisonous also. Like in case of snakes, you have seen there are poisonous snakes because of the presence of the poison glands. That is a mechanism to protect themselves against dangers, threats, or for hunting, etc. ठीक है. Now, as you can see in the examples here, this is Hemidactylus or wall lizard. This is chameleon or the tree lizard. Testudo or tortoise. Shelon or turtle. Okay. Now, difference between turtle and tortoise, as you can see, in case of the turtle, it has these are referred to as paddles. Okay. Paddles. Fine. But in case of the testudo or tortoise, they have claws. Okay. So they help them in walking. Rather, these paddles in case of the Shelon help them in swimming. Okay. Then Calotes vesicolor or the garden lizard, that is an Induo. Okay. Then Crocodilus, the crocodile, then the alligator. These are all examples of reptiles. ठीक है, they're all examples of reptiles. ठीक है, okay. Then look at it. Poisonous snakes which are still Naja, common crate or the banded crate, Hungarus, then the Vipera russeli. ठीक है, Russell's viper. ये आपके poisonous में आता है. और बहुत सारे poisonous like black mamba is there. ठीक है, then the king cobra or the Ophiophagous hana is there. ठीक है, they are all poisonous in nature. नॉन पॉइजनस स्नेक्स में आपको पाइथन आ जाएगा, एनाकोंडा आ जाएगा. ठीक है, दी रैट स्नेक आ जाएगा, दैट इज धोंडो. हाँ, ये सब आपके non-poisonous category में आते हैं. They don't have fangs or poison glands. Clear? So poisonous snakes, no, these are the poisonous and these are the non-poisonous snakes. ठीक है? ओके, तो यहां तक आपकी रेप्टिलिया हो गई. Does anyone have any queries till reptiles? If you have any queries till reptiles, you may ask. Make that quick. अगर किसी को कोई डाउट है रेप्टाइल्स में, please ask immediately. Yes, any doubts, anyone? Fine. No doubts. I am a nodal officer at Sukruli Higher Secondary School. Yes, okay. ଆମ ସ୍କୁଲର ପ୍ରାୟ ଷ୍ଟୁଡେଣ୍ଟ ଶିକ୍ଷାଯାତ୍ରୀ ପୋର୍ଟାଲ ରେଷ୍ଟୁରାଣ୍ଟ କରିକି ଭିଜିଟ୍ କରୁଛନ୍ତି. ଆମେ ଟିକେ ଜାଣିବା ପାଇଁ ଚାହୁଁଥିଲୁ ଏହାର ଷ୍ଟେଟସ୍ କ'ଣ ଅଛି ଶିକ୍ଷାଯାତ୍ରୀ ପୋର୍ଟାଲ. ଓକେ ଓକେ ଓକେ, ଫାଇନ୍ 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 ଫାଇନ୍, ଓକେ. Great, great. It's a very nice thing that you're doing. I congratulate you and also praise your efforts. Fine. Uh, I'm very happy to know कि you have been visiting our portal. Fine. And you're looking into the Sikhya Jyoti portal and visiting it, using it for your benefits. It's a very good thing. Now, I would definitely see this is since the Sikhya Jyoti portal is actually handled by our software, the R&D department. So I would convey this message to them and they would be notifying you regarding this. Fine. Because exactly what is the current status of the HSS and etc. Those information can be better portrayed by them who are into this thing. Fine. We basically are providers of education. Fine. So we take classes and but the R&D department, the portal policies and all the integrities are basically dealt in by people in the R&D department who actually look into them. So they have a detailed information. I'll do one thing. I'll pass on your this particular request to them so that they can cater to your things. Fine. Yeah, you can. I think the contact is also there with the nodal officer. ठीक है. Uh, Ashutosh ji is looking into these matters first of all. So you can definitely talk to the nodal officer, and they would be having his number. They would be providing it with you. I mean, to you. Fine. And that's what I'm telling. I think the mobile number for the contact person. Are you talking of that? Contact person is Ashutosh, sir. ठीक. Ashutosh ji is the in charge of the Shikya Jyoti portal and everything. Fine. So if you talk to your nodal officer, as you just said, you are a nodal officer yourself, I think you must be having his number, because he is regularly in touch with all the nodal officers. Yes, that would be better. And if still this thing is no, I'll pass this on myself now itself after the class, and I hope this will be taken care of. Fine. So I'll tell this information. I'll pass this information. He would be directly, since we maintain a list of all the nodal officers from all the districts, so he would be having your number also. Fine. In the list of the nodal officers. So he would be personally looking into it and calling you up. That would be better. Fine. Okay. Okay. Now, our today's session was, yeah, okay. Anko number tikke dei paribe ki. Okay. Sorry, I am not permitted to do so. Try and understand. Now, I would be passing this on, and then he would be doing the needful. That would be better. Fine. Because I cannot simply give somebody's number unless and until the person, I ask him to do so. So if he is not present right now, so I have to ask him. So the better solution is I would be passing this information of yours to him, and he would be looking into it and calling you in his time. That would be better. Fine. Could you share your name, please? Could you share your name, please, so that I can tell? Ranjan sir. ठीक है. Ranjan sir, thanks. Nice talking to you. Thanks. I am very happy with the enthusiasm that you have. Sukurli Higher Secondary School, Mayurbhanj. Great. Fine. Mayurbhanj is a beautiful place. Yes. Fine. Uh, for food as well as natural scenery. I've been there several times. Okay. Nice. Okay. Thank you, Ranjanji. Thank you for the concern. I would be doing so. Fine. Okay. Now, in today's agenda, we had till the amphibians. In the next sessions, I have also wrapped up reptiles. But don't worry. The next session will be taken by JJ sir. So he is also a very, a very fabulous teacher. Okay. So the next part from reptiles onwards will again be taken up by him. Fine. And from there we'll proceed. So the next three classes, that is reptilia, the aves and mammals, will be dealt in and be wrapped up in the next session. Fine. And after that we'll move into other chapters like structural organization, okay, the plant animal histology, etc. Okay. And since you people have no doubts, so there's no point in continuing it further. Okay. Chalo फिर ठीक है. Let us wrap this session. But I'm still waiting. If anyone has any doubts in regarding anything, okay, related to this particular topic that we have covered, so you may ask me immediately. Okay.